Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. The bass guitar is my favorite musical instrument and is arguably the most important instrument in reggae music. A scientific opinion has it that human beings love the bass guitar sound so much because when we were all in our mother's wombs, everything we heard was in bass. But whatever the case, the bass guitar provides the rhythmic sounds that all other instruments rest upon. The rhythm section or drum and bass guitar is the engine room of every band, and while the drum is the heartbeat, the bass is definitely the soul. No better example of this exists than the amazing works of the great Aston Barrett, aka Family Man, among Jamaica's and definitely among the world's greatest bass players ever. He's remembered mostly as the band leader and bassist of Bob Marley's Wailers band, but he was much more than that. Aston Barrett was truly one of the pioneers of what we know today as reggae music, lending his genius ability to some of the first tracks in that genre after it evolved from rocksteady. Alongside his younger brother, Carlton, he was pretty much as responsible for the success of Bob Marley and the Wailers as the Tough Gong himself. The Barrett brothers were loyal and immovable pillars of the Bob Marley music machine, as well as loyal friends till the end of Bob's life. Let's not even go into the incredible role that Family Man played in setting the pace for reggae bass players after him, including his most famous student in the great Robbie Shakespeare. The world was stunned with the sad news of the passing of this amazing icon 3 days ago, a figure who is without a doubt among the most important men in the history of the reggae genre. Let's take a look at the incredible life and times of Aston Family Man Barrett. He was born on 22nd of November 1946 and was the fourth child to Wilford Barrett, who was a blacksmith, and his housewife mother, Viola Barrett. He was raised in a tenement yard on Beeston Street in downtown Kingston, very close to Orange Street, the musical hub popularly known as Beach Street. He was a very smart kid, but his family moved around a lot, and this would affect his development as a student in regular school. So his folks sent him to what was called the Cobbler Camp, a school and program that was run by the Jamaican Youth Corps to teach young people trade skills. And it was there that young Aston would have his first interaction with music as a performer, as he would form a singing group with a few friends. After finishing from the Cobbler Camp, he qualified and began to work as a welder. However, when he and his younger brother Carlton, then aged 18 and 14, heard the Wailers hit track Simmer Down on a jukebox one day, they both got inspired to become musicians, like the three teenagers that they were listening to. Aston would gravitate to the bass guitar while Carlton took to the drums. They were too poor to afford real instruments, so they had to make their own. Aston would apply his skills as a welder and made his first bass guitar out of a cotton rod, some strings and some wood. He was a self-taught instrumentalist and would master that instrument with his crude homemade contraption. And by the time he got his hands on the real thing, he would become simply unstoppable. So the Barrett brothers formed their first band called the Drive-In Cracker Boys, an unprofessional outfit but one that would be the springboard to a professional career. In 1967, Max Romeo, who had achieved a big hit with a trio called the Emotions, was now a solo artist and had assembled a backing band called the Hippie Boys. However, in late December 1968, Max Romeo was scheduled to perform at a live gig for Christmas, but unfortunately his rhythm section didn't show up. But he had noticed the incredibly talented Barrett brothers and hired them to fill in for his rhythm section for that concert. And the performance was spectacular to say the least, and they would become the Hippie Boys' new bassist and drummer. And it was as a member of the Hippie Boys that Aston would get the nickname Family Man. It's popularly believed that Aston Barrett got the name Family Man because he fathered more than 40 children, but he got the name Family Man while he was still a member of the Hippie Boys and gave himself that name in honor of his skills of being a leader of a band that he believed had to be a family unit to be successful. And Hippie Boys would become a musical powerhouse in Jamaica in a very short time and were in hot demand as a studio backing band by 1969. And the Barrett brothers were said to have lent their skills on one of the first reggae tracks ever recorded, which was a song named Bangarang, produced by Bonnie Lee for singer Stranger Cole. And they would also play on songs that became massive hits, like Derek Morgan's Hold You Jack and Harry Johnson's smash hit Liquidator. And it was during the heydays of the Hippie Boys that a 16-year-old boy named Robbie Shakespeare would often attend the band's rehearsals and over time would convince Aston Barrett to teach him how to play the bass guitar. And eventually, when Aston would leave the group, Robbie Shakespeare was good enough to replace him. Over time, Aston and Carlton's exploits caught the attention of eccentric producer Lee Scratch Perry, who would include the pair in an elite studio backing band he was putting together called the Upsetters. And Family Man's thumping bass lines would help set the stage for many of the hits that Perry would produce, as well as his own personal smash hit singles, including the classic named The Return of Django, which went to number 5 on the UK singles charts in 1969. Aston Barrett's bass play was simply out of this world, and it caught the attention of many, including Bob Marley, who had just returned to Jamaica after spending a few months in America hustling for money to fund the Wailers' independent project. Bob reportedly got to meet with Aston one day to tell him that he was a big fan, and upon meeting him, he was shocked to discover that the bassist was just a young man like he was. And little did they know that that brief meeting was just the start for a fabulous lifelong partnership. The then Wailers trio of Bob, Bunny and Peter would go into a collaboration with Lee Scratch Perry that lasted between August 1970 and April 1971, an arrangement that produced 2 albums and more than 40 singles. And though that partnership would last for only 8 months, it was an incredibly impactful time for the Wailers, who learned a lot and would develop musically thanks to the brilliance of the Barrett brothers as well as Lee Scratch Perry's crazy genius. And they put together amazing songs like Kaya and Mr. Brown that all featured incredible bass lines from Aston. However, their partnership with Perry would break down in epic fashion over money, and when the Wailers left, they took Aston and his brother Carlton with them. And a year after leaving Perry, the Wailers bagged their deal with Island Records and would release their debut album, Catch a Fire, a year after that. A truly phenomenal classic that highlighted how much of a bass guitar wizard Aston Barrett really was. The music was recorded in Jamaica but sent to London for mixing before the final release. It was noted by the mixing crew in London that Aston's bass play was almost perfect and needed almost no further tweaking. But just as everything was looking up for the Wailers, a cataclysm would hit that group as Bob was left alone after the exit of Peter and Bunny less than 1 year after Catch a Fire hit the streets. Now, with the loss of his 2 brothers and colleagues, Bob would reorganize his team fundamentally. He would recruit the I3s as his backup vocalists, and at the nucleus of the new Bob Marley and the Wailers were himself, Carlton Barrett, and Aston Barrett as leader of the band. Family Man's role within the heart of the Marley music machine was truly indispensable, as he not only provided the legendary bass lines for Bob's greatest songs, but also arranged, co-wrote, and co-produced many of them. His fantastic input had been felt on previous albums, but in this new Wailers setup, the magnificence of his work truly rose to prominence, and it would stamp his authority on the Natty Dread album, which would come out in 1974. That was the first solo Bob Marley project. I don't know anybody that's not moved by Aston Barrett's incredible bass play on No Woman No Cry, or his amazing work on anthems on the next album, Rastaman Vibration, where his incredible riffs on the likes of songs like Roots Rock Reggae, Crazy Bald Head, or Who the Cap Fits, which he wrote with his brother Carlton, by the way. Let's not even talk about his infectious, funky magic on the Kaya album. And whatever the occasion, Aston Barrett's bass guitar provided the rhythm and the soul. Whether it was the urgency of Exodus or the upbeat partying of jamming, he was the anchor and director of whatever Bob was trying to communicate with his music. Don't even get me started on how incredible this man was in live shows and concerts, always leading his band with charm and solid poise, while Bob would light up the stages with his passionate performances. With Aston Barrett in his corner, Bob Marley would go on to become reggae's global ambassador and megastar, achieving unreal success and putting the genre on the world map as a sound which had come to stay. But make no mistake, Aston was no yes man. He was a proud professional who never let Bob push him around on anything that he felt strongly about. A big example of this was his opposition to the track Punky Reggae Party. In 1977, Bob Marley was working on that song, which was designed to pay a tribute to the UK punk movement, which had warmly embraced reggae music. But Aston Barrett and his brother weren't impressed with the non-reggae infusions and gave the tough gong such a hard time that he had to secretly recruit Boris Gardner to play the bass and Sly Dunbar to play the drums on what would become Punky Reggae Party. Alongside Family Man's duties with Bob Marley and the Wailers, he would play on many other classics for many other legends. And some of these are Legalize It by Peter Tosh, Black Heart Man by Bunny Wailer, the Marcus Garvey and Dry and Heavy albums by Burning Spear, as well as Augustus Pablo's East of the River Nile album. He was Bob's musical right-hand man through the highs and even the lows, from the incredible tours and accolades down to narrowly escaping with his life when gunmen attacked Bob's house during a rehearsal in 1976. He was truly a loyal friend and stand-up guy for Bob Marley until the Top Gong passed away in 1981. In the aftermath of the passing of his boss and friend, Family Man would work with Burning Spear and Rita Marley and a host of other artists who were eager for his bass magic. He would also do studio session work with Ivorian reggae star Alpha Blondy on his album Cocody Rock and Jerusalem that was recorded at the Top Gong studio in Jamaica. He would also continue to tour and perform with the Wailers band into the 1990s. But unfortunately, issues around money would put him on collision course with Bob Marley's family and estate as he began legal proceedings over unpaid royalties, but was settled when he signed a legal settlement that would see him receive several $100,000 in 1994. However, he would again sue the Marley family and the Universal Music Group in 2006, but this second time he would lose the case outright. He moved to Miami and would tour with the Wailers band from time to time over the years. In 2015, he was named by NME Music Magazine as the 25th best bassist of all time, even though I think that he deserved to be right up there in that list's top 10. In 2021, he was honored with the Order of Distinction by the Jamaican government for his contributions to the island's arts and culture. Around this time last year, we got the scary news that Aston Barrett had been hospitalized but was on the road to recovery. But sadly, a year later, the reggae world would hear the awful news that Aston Barrett had passed away on Saturday, the 3rd of December 2024 at the age of 77, less than 2 weeks before the release of the Bob Marley One Love movie. Incidentally, his character was played in the movie by his son, Aston Barrett Jr., a truly remarkable man and musician who helped create reggae's greatest star and some of reggae's greatest bodies of music. It's safe to say that without Family Man, that there might not have been a Bob Marley who we revere so much today, and the story of reggae music might have been very different without that great man. May his soul rest in perfect peace. So there you have it. Thank you for watching the video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, God bless.